Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Candy. Today is all about the pork chops. We are going to start off with some smothered pork chops. This is a really good southern dish. And all you have to do is put these little bit of ingredients together into our pot, and we'll talk about each of those as we go along. So first we're going to put our garlic, salt, paprika, and onion powder onto our pork chops and get them all cooking in our pan. After our pork chops are browned on both sides, they don't have to be full brown on each side, take them out and then put the onions into that pan and brown up your onions. And then after the onions are all good and brown, add in your mushrooms. Stir around the mushrooms for maybe a minute or two and then add in some flour. This flour is going to help thicken your sauce, but you want to make sure that the flour is nice and cooked. Uncooked flour does not taste very good. So you'll see me mixing this around really good, making sure that it is nicely distributed and that is all getting cooked well. After you have mixed in all of your flour, add in some chicken stock little by little and mix it in as you go. And this is going to become like your liquid part of your gravy, and that flour will start thickening up this sauce as you cook it. And I ended up making or putting in a little bit more chicken stock than this because it just wasn't enough gravy. But then once you get your amount of gravy that you want, put your pork chops back in, submerge them down in that goodness, and then put your top back on for maybe about 5 minutes, maybe 7, until that is nice and thick, looking like this right here. And all of your pork chops are done. And then you put it on top of some mashed potatoes, and that is some good southern eating, if you ask me. Next, we are going to do baked pork chops with mixed veggies. These baked pork chops, I put this Texas chicken rub on them. It is really good. I don't care that it's for chicken. It's good on pork chop as well. And then I put some garlic salt on there too. And then on my veggies, I put a little bit of olive oil, some of that garlic salt, and then a lot of that garlic, that big old can of garlic thing. Yeah, you'll see that I use this on every single meal because I had a ton of it. I put all of that into my oven at 425 degrees for about 20 minutes, and I should have cut my baby carrots in half because I did not cook at the same time as everything else, but everything else was really good. If I cut my baby carrots in half, this would have been perfect, but everything was nice and crispy and delicious. And there's the kids, of course, with mac and cheese. This one right here was my favorite, curry pork chops. Oh, so I wanted to make one in the slow cooker where it would get really, really tender. And I had this sauce pack from Stubbs, and it was chili, lime, and ginger. So I'm sure you could remake this with just some chili powder, some ginger powder, and like maybe some lime zest or something like that. And I thought, what would go good with that? Well, curry goes fantastic with ginger. So I wanted to put that over these pork chops, and I was going to only use half the package, and then I decided to put all of it in. And then I put about half an onion in there, and then this is a Cajun bell pepper, so it is a very hot bell pepper. And then the other bell pepper, or the other pepper that I put in there was a, oh my gosh, what was that one? A hot salsa pepper. And these are from my garden. It's just what I had on hand that day, and I didn't know what else to do with them, and I hate wasting my peppers, so I threw those in there because I knew it would make it good and spicy. And then of course put a ton of that garlic on top of it. And then I went in with the curry powder and then just sprinkled it very generously with curry powder. If you don't want it as spicy, you don't have to put these kind of peppers in it, and you don't have to use this much curry powder, but I think it tasted really good. The only thing that I should have added in here is some salt. That needed a little bit of salt at the end. But after I got all my spices in there, I put my chicken stock into my crock pot off to the side, making sure that I didn't just wash away every bit of that goodness that I put on top of all of my stuff. And I filled it up just where it was about halfway up those pork chops. And then I just let this cook on high for 6 hours, and I can tell you that my house was smelling so good. Oh, and I put this little splash of vinegar in here, and I was thinking like maybe it'll help it get even more tender, but I don't think it made much of a difference. It was fine either way, but yeah, I put that vinegar in there. Oh well. After it was all done, I pulled out everything that was in the crock pot, separated out the meat. There's the pork chops. They were literally falling apart. And then I put all of that pepper mixture and all of the sauce and goodness and all of the juices into my blender and blended that up, and then added it back into the crock pot. And I was thinking this was going to be my like gravy or sauce for this, and oh my gosh, did it turn out good. And I wanted to thin it out a little bit, so I put 1/3 of a cup of some silk unsweetened coconut milk into it and stirred it around until it was mixed really good, and then just broke up my pieces of pork chop and put them back into the bowl. And like I said, it broke up so easily. I was using that spoon right there just to break it up and dump it in. And then I just let it sit there while I got all of my bowls and stuff laid out for dinner and just kind of soak up some of that goodness. After I added this over some jasmine rice and then sprinkled a little bit of parsley on top, this right here was a fantastic, simple meal. And it didn't take hardly any time at all to prepare. It was so good and so tender. I hope this gives you a lot of good ideas to cook for Memorial Day or this week coming up. And y'all let me know in the comments below if you try out any of these recipes and how you like them. And I will see y'all on the next one, guys. Bye.